Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Microsoft Roundtable, talking today specifically about Microsoft Fabric. I'll let everyone introduce themselves on the call, but for me, I'm Ian Wellman, Director at Nigel Frank, and I'm very keen to understand about how Microsoft Fabric impacts the talent markets that we have and the Microsoft ecosystem. So I'll go around the table now. Prathy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Prathyusha Kamasani. I work at Avande as a director, basically doing all the Microsoft BI things like Power BI, and nowadays very excited about Fabric. I'm not really working on a Fabric project, but I'm playing with it a lot. That's me.
Lovely. Chris?
So yeah, I'm Chris Webb. I work on the Fabric customer advisory team at Microsoft. Previously, I was on the part of that team that was the Power BI customer advisory team, but everybody's a Fabric person nowadays. And as the job description suggests, a lot of my time is spent advising customers about Fabric. A lot of my time is also spent finding out what the feedback is and taking it back to the rest of the people who build Fabric. But yeah, I'm based in the UK. I cover customers in the UK.
Lovely. And Vicky?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Vicky Simpson. I'm a principal consultant on our business intelligence and data recruitment team. So we recruit for all sorts of BI and data roles across the UK. We do this for Microsoft partners, for large enterprise organizations, and for end users too. And obviously, more recently, we've started learning more about the changes that Microsoft Fabric might bring on the work that we're doing. So excited to talk more about that today.
Lovely. Okay. So I think big open question to kick off with. What is Microsoft Fabric? Like to answer that one.
I think Chris is the expert who could answer it very well.
So I think there's a lot of different ways of answering this. One way of answering it is to say that it's Power BI, but with a load more new capabilities. So everything that Power BI was is still there, except that now, instead of just having data sets and reports and paginated reports and data flows, you've now got a lot more variety of things that you can have in your Power BI workspace. You can have warehouses, like a full kind of proper featured relational, highly scalable warehouse engine. You've got data pipelines. You've got a lot of Azure Data Factory type functionality. You've got machine learning functionality. You've got Spark. You've got notebooks. You've got machine learning. You've got alerting. So in one way, it's Power BI has grown incredibly. There's loads of more stuff in Power BI. Another way of looking at it is that it is the future of the whole Azure data platform. So in the past, you've got Power BI on one side, but then you've got Synapse, you've got Azure Data Factory, you've got all of these other different Azure services. Fabric is all of them coming together into one software as a service platform where everything all just works together seamlessly. Anything you'd like to add to that, Prathy, I think?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. I think from a more, because if you are a customer and looking at it, trying to understand why it's there, I think it's more because we mostly, what we do is we move data from one place to the other place. And without Fabric, what we did is we worked with different clouds and then moving the data from there to Power BI. But with Fabric, one benefit I feel is there are less moving parts, so we get access to our data much quickly. So that's another side of looking at it.
Yeah, and there's tons and tons of new, interesting, innovative features inside Fabric as well. It's not. I've seen some people say, "Oh, is it just rebranding of existing stuff?" And it's not. There is. And it's not even just bringing everything together in a more integrated way. There's a lot of really new, interesting technology in there as well, like the whole brand new warehouse engine, the direct lake mode for Power BI and things like that.
Okay. It's also very exciting for Power BI people, and me coming from Power BI world, and it's quite exciting. I've been playing with notebooks a lot. So many Power BI people may think like, oh, there is nothing new for me, but there's quite a few new things they could enjoy. Like I'm enjoying notebooks, even though half the time I don't know what I'm doing, but still I'm enjoying it.
Okay, and is it available now?
It's in public preview now.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I would say public preview means, we're showing it, you can play with it. Not everything is available yet. We'd love you to, try it out and play with it and start to build things with it. But performance isn't there yet. There are a lot of features that are missing that will be coming later on in the public preview. So don't judge it yet. Don't do any performance testing, for example. But it's there in a stable, usable state. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And from a business's point of view, if we go to the Microsoft partner channel, maybe, Prathi, how are you getting your team ready for Fabric? What's have you got like training courses, or is there a new skill set that you're looking at to hire? What's the plan?
Well, see, that's a very good question. And this is where I'm talking more like a consulting wise. It's like again, talking from my experience, is when you are a partner, you already have a data engineering team and Power BI team. And Fabric is doing nothing much, just combining them together into one team, which used to be the case traditionally. And that's what it's going to be now. So if I am actually looking for a new person to join the team now, I would probably look for somebody who is also interested in learning new things like Notebook or Python, or if we have somebody who is doing Power BI but already understand Python or those kind of things, that would help. From the training point of view, there's plenty of training on the Microsoft site itself. Like there are quite a few happy parts and stuff. And but again, internally as well, we are spending quite a lot of time and efforts to train people, making it available to understand, because I think the languages, the tools may not changed completely, but what would change for a client, I feel, is the architecture. The traditional architecture is something, and now we have to update that architecture with the new components that's available in Fabric. I think that's where the change would be from a partner point of view. What do you say, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of interesting implications for hiring and for skills and things. I think in terms of skills, even within the Power BI world, when I first started using Power BI, it was possible for somebody to know everything about Power BI. Now, so much has changed and happened in Power BI now. It was already at the point where it was impossible for somebody to know absolutely everything about Power BI. There were specialisms within Power BI. You might be able to know a little bit about everything, but there's no way that any one person could really know everything about Power BI because it was so large. And, maybe even within some of those consultancies, like where Prathi works, there would be people who are better at data visualization or better at DAX or better at Power Query and things. Now, with Fabric, that's got like 1,000 times more. If somebody comes and says, I want a Fabric expert, you're never going to find that. You're going to have to look inside Fabric and see what are the different, happy paths that Prathi mentioned, or the different skill sets. You're going to want to find somebody who's got those Power BI skills. That's going to be great. You're going to want to find people with data engineering skills, people maybe with Python skills, people perhaps with SQL skills. There are going to be different ways of using Fabric, some of which use those skills and some of which don't. If you're looking for somebody to kind of learn or skill up on Fabric, apart from the Power BI skills, if you've got somebody who's got some Synapse experience, that'll be great for large parts of Fabric. If you're looking for if you want somebody with if you get somebody with Databricks experience, they'll probably be able to kind of learn and get up to speed quite easily with Fabric as well. You know, anybody with, you know, SQL Server or, you know, kind of good, strong T-SQL skills, they'll be good at other different parts of Fabric as well. I think it's still a little bit early. You know, nobody's really worked out how a Fabric team would be structured, but it's not one person, and you won't have one person who'll know everything.
Yeah. And I just want to add one more thing to what Chris said. It's like, it's also, there is a low code, no code approach in the entire Fabric as well. It's like, just like how in Power BI, if you're a Power user or an end user, you could go and create your own reports. The same type of elements available, the whole end-to-end, like a solutioning of Fabric too. So because me and Chris are very interested in all these things, that's why we are talking about those. But there are very lighter elements as well.
Okay, and from a client spectrum, what's your kind of target client audience? Is it the large enterprises? Are we looking at the smaller businesses, or is it available to all?
Everyone.
Everyone, genuinely. Now, I know that sounds like a kind of cop-out answer, but it is genuinely everyone. You know, Synapse basically was a kind of an offering aimed at enterprises. There are some medium-sized businesses using it, but you know, it's basically an enterprise offering. But Fabric aims to take the same kind of approach as Power BI had, in that there are some of the largest customers in the world using Power BI. There are, you know, there are some super large customers who've got more people using Power BI every month than, you know, than live in some of the biggest cities in the world. But on the other hand, there are tons and tons of companies using Power BI where there's like 1 or 2 people who use Power BI. And, you know, they're used in very different ways. You've got some people who just connect to an Excel spreadsheet, build a basic report and publish it for 2 or 3 colleagues. You've got some people who are like got super complex skills using CI/CD, connecting to, you know, gigantic databases, building reports consumed by thousands of people. And, you know, that's the strength of Power BI, and that's what I think we want to bring to Fabric. We want it to be absolutely everything to everyone.
It's like, irrespective of like what stage you are in your analytical process, there is something in Fabric that you could use to make it better. I think that is what excites me as somebody who is passionate about analytics. It's like it doesn't matter like if I want to do like a very raw data processing or more like a machine learning or data science. I could pick up anywhere in this story and use Fabric.
Okay. And Vicky, from the candidate side of things, what questions are you getting from the candidates at the moment, and what's the kind of pressing demand that you can see of the answers that they would need answering?
Yeah, I mean, so many questions. Prathi, as you probably remember at our last Fabric user group, everyone had 1,000,001 questions to ask about it, didn't they? And I think the number one thing that people are coming to me with is they're saying, look, I've heard about Fabric, it's everywhere and anywhere. I want to get involved in it, but I don't really know how to begin. You know, maybe they are a Power BI developer who wants to see what else they can do in Fabric. I guess, what advice would you have to someone like that to get started?
Well, I think for me, I mean, that's the same thing. So what we're talking about, somebody like me. So what I do is I have a personal Power BI tenant where I enable Fabric. My daughter is really passionate about Taylor Swift. So I decided to get all Taylor Swift lyrics by using notebooks and create a solution, like a sentimental analysis on the lyrics. So that is a project I created myself. So I think that's what I would recommend to people. It's like find something that passionates you. Fabric, because it's in preview, Fabric is in trial, so you could use for 60 days. I'm hoping they will extend that. And even if you don't have a Power BI tenant, you could open a trial tenant. I don't know how long that lasts, but you have time to do it for like, you know, at least a month or so. That's what my recommendation would be.
Yeah. The trial will possibly be extended. But I think just to pick up on something that Prathi said, you may be able to do this in Power BI at work, depending on how your Power BI admin has turned things on or not. If you haven't done that, it's super easy to have your own Power BI tenants that you can set up at home, and there you'll be the admin, and then you can make sure that you enable Fabric, and you can spin up your own trial, assuming you haven't already had a premium trial already, but spin up a Fabric trial and you can just start to get going with it.
Great. No, I love that. That's a great idea, to find something that you're passionate about and run with it. That's so exciting. So yeah, thank you for that. I think another question that I'm being asked quite a lot actually is, what will the impact of Fabric be on like your commonplace data roles? So for example, like your data analysts and your data engineers, will they still exist as separate roles, or do you think ultimately we'll see those starting to, kind of come together?
I think they will still be separate roles. I mean, having said that, what we're certainly seeing is there are data analysts who are getting more and more technical. The business analysts who were only doing stuff in Excel suddenly got a big boost to their skills with Power BI, and you start to see people who might have just been kind of Excel VBA types doing some really amazing stuff with Power BI. And I guess the part of the whole strategy we've got with Fabric is to just put more cool stuff in their hands. Things that would previously have been locked up by the IT department saying, don't touch this, you're not skilled enough to use it. And things that would have been just too expensive or too difficult for them to set up, just to make it easier for them to get their hands on it. So your kind of traditional business analyst is going to have a lot more opportunity to do stuff. But I don't think that's ever going to really replace data engineers and the whole kind of analytics engineers, the kind of more IT department type roles. They're still going to be there. There's just going to be even more opportunity for everyone.
Yeah.
Great. And I guess in a more formal sense of things then, do you think, are there any particular courses or even like plans for certifications to be coming out to do with Fabric?
Well, I mean, Prathi mentioned there's courses already. I think the thing is, because we're in public preview, things are going to change a lot. The user interface is going to change, performance is going to change. There's functionality, big pieces of functionality that we haven't released yet that will be released over the next couple of months. And as somebody who's done training courses in the past and written books and things, the problem at a time like this, when everything is going to change from week to week, is that if you build the training material now, it'll be out of date next week. Because training material, you need to be able to say, press this button and go to this side of the screen, and all of those things are going to be moved around, and that just makes it super difficult to build any training material. So there is stuff now, but it's a bit too early. Nobody's going to want to invest in building all of that just yet. So we really are at that point where you've just got to play around with it and see what's there, kick the tires. I personally do exactly what Prathi said. Just get some data you're interested in, and see what you can do with it.
Yeah, it's also going to be very interesting to find a certification for because as Chris mentioned earlier, there are so many artifacts and there's so many things that you could do. So I don't think there would be a certification path which would cover entire Fabric. I think there will probably be certifications for each artifact, or there probably would be something like how Azure fundamental certification is. Maybe like a Fabric fundamentals makes sense. And then there has to be like many different paths, because somebody could get aged by just doing those certifications. There were too many. There will be too many if that would be the case.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess to kind of flip it on the other side, then, if I was a company, like if I was a customer, and I'm already working with Microsoft products, and I want to start to leverage the value of Fabric, what should I be doing? What should my first steps be, do you think?
I'll let Chris answer this.
So I would say, what are customers doing? So there are a lot of customers who there's probably two approaches that I see at customers. First of all, there's the kind of formal, let's set up a team to evaluate this type approach. It's the kind of top-down thing, where there are, somebody senior has seen one of the presentations and says, oh, this looks like something important from the strategic direction. Now I'm going to put together a team of people and we're going to do a proof of concept and see what it's like, and then we can report back. The other approach, the other thing that we see happening is that there's no official team, but some enterprising Power BI user suddenly thinks, oh, this looks really cool. I've read some blog posts about it. I wonder how it can change my job. And turn on a trial capacity, start playing around with things, start saying, well, there's this stuff I'm doing today in Power BI or with data flows or with something. Can I do that in a different way, in a better way with Fabric? And they'll just kind of like start playing with it, and then hopefully they'll be successful. And kind of like how Power BI spreads through a lot of companies, they show their friends say, oh, well, I'm spending hours every week doing this, but if I use Fabric, I can maybe take that down to 5 minutes. Maybe I'm going to start playing with it, and it kind of grows virally. So I would say that's kind of what's happening at the moment. That's maybe not answering your question, but that's the two different ends of the spectrum. And I would say from a company point of view, even if you don't have the time to officially set up a task force, don't stop your end users from playing with it. There's a certain attitude which is completely understandable of, oh, this looks new, let's turn it off. And then maybe in a couple of months, we'll have a look at it and decide whether we can turn it on. Don't do that. Leave it on, let people play with it, and let them explore.
But I think one thing I would add, again, don't keep your production things on the preview stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen people who wants to do that, but because as Chris mentioned, things are changing every day, and sometimes you may have to redo the entire data warehouse, which happened to me. So, well, mine was not production data, but that's something I would suggest not to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, some really good advice there. Thank you. And that's actually what I was going to ask next, which is, are there any particular stumbling blocks or pitfalls that you think end users might face in the adoption of this new technology?
I mean, there are always bugs. We're busy fixing the bugs, but you may well encounter some. There will be some things that don't perform as well as they should do, especially when you're working with larger data volumes. There's also, because this is all very new, nobody knows what the best practices are yet. We're all still working it out. It's not even like anybody at Microsoft knows what the best practices is yet. We're building it, but once we've built it and we've got things working and people try and succeed or try and fail, that's how we kind of work out what the best practices are. So there's also that kind of disadvantage that unlike a kind of mature GA product like Power BI, if you know where to look and you know where to go, there are accepted ways of doing things that will lead to success. And there are obvious mistakes that people make that people have written about and said, well, don't do this because it'll cause problems later on. That doesn't exist with Fabric yet. It's all still pretty new.
Yeah. Okay, great. And is there anything then that you would like to see, from us as a recruitment agency in helping the market to adapt to this. So, any particular conversations you think we should be having with the market, with either our candidates or our customers?
Do you want to go first, Prath?
No, because I do involve in a lot of recruitment where I work, and I've done a lot of interviews. I think from the recruitment side of you, I would probably say look for people who are passionate about adopting broader tools than I'm a SQL developer, I'll do SQL. Then I think that has to be, I mean, it's good. Like, you could be a Brentosaur and be very, very good at what you do. But it's also like important to be flexible, to be able to learn new things and trying to find a different way of doing things. For example, I tend to see, like, especially when we go to certain client places, because they have SQL developers, for example, if you take them, they do things in SQL, but which probably needs like 100 lines of code to do some certain things. But the same thing could probably do in 3 lines in Python, but you could use the data pipelines and probably just do it in one task. So I think it's important to find people who could navigate between all these things. I think that's what I would look for.
And you're not going to be too happy if you receive a Microsoft Fabric expert CV tomorrow, then, by the sounds of it.
With 7 years of experience.
20 years of experience, made it, created it, came up with a name.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of the skills, Power BI people will probably have heard of it and be kind of interested to expand. Synapse people will probably have heard of it and be interested to kind of go into it. I think the interesting thing will be, and maybe this is where you might be able to kind of help to suggest things. There will be people who have worked with Databricks, who kind of think of themselves as Databricks people, who maybe don't realize how much of their skills will be transferable to Fabric. And perhaps you could suggest, well, hey, Databricks really well. Maybe you could consider learning a bit of Fabric. It's the cool new thing. They might not have thought about that. Similarly with Snowflake, there could be people with kind of strong SQL skills who have become Snowflake people in recent years who might be interested in kind of taking a look at Fabric as well. And I suppose that there's always that problem of kind of early in career people. Lots of people leaving college and university with fairly good Python skills, thinking I'm going to be a developer, suggesting, well, hey, development is fine, but data is even more cool. So maybe if you consider a career in data, I think kids today think maybe data is the kind of less cool option, but actually it's a lot. I think a career in data is a lot more satisfying than just being a boring old dev. Maybe I'm biased, but all those people with Python skills who are coming out and thinking, what am I going to do with my skills in my career? Say, hey, well, look at notebooks, look at Python, look at working with data there.
It's, when I initially never liked data because I felt like it was back-end. I wanted to be very front-end person. And nowadays I hear my daughter saying the same thing. It feels very back-end. So it's the thing but Fabric does have a front-end elements as well. Like you could create visualizations, you could create the advanced like a ML and data science stuff, which I don't know how to do. But I think nowadays kids come out of uni with knowing all these things.
Yeah. And like you said, what could be cooler than machine learning? And Fabric's got that.
Yeah. And it has Copilot. See, that's what I am doing with my notebooks is like I have GitHub Copilot. So I'm writing code by using GitHub Copilot. It doesn't always help me. Sometimes it sends me in different direction, but it does help me to, at least I could write in a sentence saying this is what I want to do, and it suggests me something which makes me easy to learn things.
Okay, and from a kind of communication timeline, have you got any events or anything coming up which is going to explain Fabric that people could go to? Is there any webinars? Is there anything like that coming up?
Well, I mean, I think if you're in the London area, you should be going to the Fabric user group, really, shouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we will be having more events about around Fabric things, and we're lucky to have Chris in town, which is quite fortunate, and also so does Mark, and Casper will be here most of the times as well. So we are very fortunate to be in a position like that. And there are quite a few other user groups, like virtual ones, are also talking about Microsoft Fabric recently. There's plenty of information, and there's like channels like GainACube and so many. I think there is a information overload, if I be honest. But like if somebody listening is like me and who gets overwhelmed by so much information, I think I would just go for a route to follow certain people. Like I mean, I personally follow like Chris or GainACube and people like that, so I know what I'm doing. And at the same time also follow Microsoft blogs, which is where every new change gets explained there, so you're kind of on top of it, and then figure out what is that you want to do and dwell into it instead of following everything, which gets a bit intimidating.
Yeah, I think it would be very easy to just get completely overwhelmed by everything that's happening in Fabric. So pick the bits you're interested in, pick the bits that you think might be relevant to your job, where you've got skills you can build on, but don't feel like you need to learn absolutely everything.
Lovely. Vicky, have you got any other questions from candidates and clients alike?
I mean, I think like you guys have both said, there's just an absolute massive information out there for people to consume. So I think our biggest challenge is just helping to slowly guide our clients and our candidates on where to actually start. And like you both said, I think it probably is just a case of, pursuing some passion projects, doing some exploring yourself, keeping up with all of these resources and these blogs. Obviously, our user group as well. We've seen a massive increase in attendance since we rebranded to the Fabric user group, which is so exciting. So there is a lot out there to get involved in, and I think that's the key thing that the people that I'm speaking to are looking for at the moment. Where do I begin? I guess my only kind of question that I have left is there anything else that we've not discussed so far that you think is important for the general kind of BI community to be aware of, or anything else that they can do to kind of keep ahead of things?
I mean, I think it's probably worth. I'm from Microsoft. I would say this, that Fabric's going to be big. It's going to be really big. Yeah. If you kind of saw how, and you see how Power BI has grown exponentially over the last couple of years, I mean, and it's gone absolutely crazy. It's bigger than I think any BI tool has ever been now. And when I look at the internal numbers, the growth we get is, you just wouldn't believe it. It's so amazingly successful. Fabric is just going to turbocharge that. There will be even more users, and it's going to be an even more diverse community. So, as a kind of tech professional, yeah, you do a good job, but how well you do in your career is often dependent on whose bandwagon you hitch yourself onto. Because if you find, you could be a great person at a bit of tech that just doesn't get used widely, and then you'll end up kind of boxing yourself into a corner. Or you can be somebody who's just fairly normal, but if you kind of jump onto the bandwagon of a really successful hot bit of technology, then suddenly you're going to be way more in demand. You don't have to be the world's biggest brain. You just need to be pretty good at a technology that everybody wants. And I think that's what Fabric is going to do. That's what Power BI has been already, and the same formula that we've applied to Power BI is going to be applied to Fabric. Good regular investment, regular updates. If it's not able to do something now, in a month, in a year, it probably will be able to. And we at Microsoft, we're listening to the customers, listening to the community, finding out what doesn't work, and then investing to fix that. It's not like we're going away thinking of something, releasing it, doesn't work, and then 3 years later there'll be version 2. It's going to be regular updates. It's going to move really, really quickly in the way that Power BI did. So learn Fabric. It's going to be great. You'll have an amazing career, and you'll be able to double your rates. Possibly.
Yeah, we like it or not, it's going to change the world of analytics. So yeah, it's good to be on the boat.
Lovely. So I think that wraps everything up for today. When's the next user group? How do people get onto the user group is probably the one thing that everyone needs to hear. Is it in the diary yet?
It is in my diary, but not on the meetup diary yet. It's actually, next one is on the 27th of July.
Okay.
We're going to have Frank from Germany coming over, talking about how we could use Copilot and Fabric APIs, so Power BI APIs and all the APIs, which kind of is same for Fabric as well. So it's going to be yes.
Oh, okay, that's very good.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
definitely worth going to see.
So yeah, that's going to be on 27th. And whoever, if they don't know about London Fabric User Group, they could find us on Meetup. We are on Twitter at I forgot the handle. I think it's fab_London. Yeah.
Sure, you'll find it. Search.
Yeah, and yeah, if you look up, if you search for it, I'm sure you'll find it.
Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and that's definitely made my head a lot clearer on what Microsoft Fabric is and how it's going to affect the talent markets. Thank you very much, Vicky. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Prathy. And I'm sure we will be hearing more soon from the wonderful world of Microsoft Fabric. Thank you all, everyone. See you later. Goodbye.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.